Hola estudiantes! This video is to review how to conjugate in the preterite tense. The preterite tense is the past tense in Spanish. For irregular verbs, when the verb ends in AR, your endings are A, aste, o, amos, astes, and aron. For example, if I was conjugating the verb mirar, it'd be I watched, miré, you watched, miraste, he watched, él miró, we watched. Nosotros miramos, vosotros mirasteis, ellos, ustedes miraron. The endings for ER verbs are iste, io, imos, istes, and ieron. ER and IR verbs have the same endings in the preterite tense. So if I were conjugating the verb comer, it would be yo comí, tú comiste, usted, él, ella comió, nosotros comimos, vosotros comisteis, ellos, ellas, ustedes comieron. And the verb subir, to go up, would be subí, subiste, subió, subimos, subisteis, y subieron. The car-gar-zar rule is also a rule that we have to learn for the preterite. When a verb ends in car, the C will change to QU. When a verb ends in gar, the G will change to GU. And when a verb ends in zar, the Z will change to C. This spelling change only happens in the yo form. The tú and the el and the nosotros and the vosotros and the ustedes form will just be normal. So for example, if I was going to do the conjugation of the verb empezar, I would make my spelling change in the yo form, yo empecé, Z to C, but the other forms will just be normal. Empezaste, empezó, and so on. The same thing with the car and the gar. For example, if I was conjugating the word buscar, to look for, in the yo form, I would make the spelling change, busque, but in the other forms, I would not make the spelling change. If I were doing a gar verb, I would make the spelling change in the yo form, jugué, but not in the other forms, jugaste, jugó, and so on. Other verbs that do this could be verbs like comenzar, pagar, and so on. Now let's do some irregular verbs that conjugate irregularly in the preterite, like dar, the verb to give. Yo di, tú diste, usted, él, ella dio, nosotros dimos, vosotros disteis, ellos dieron. So this one kind of borrows the er, ir endings, and there's no accents. A very similar verb to this is the verb ver. Yo vi, tú viste, usted, ella vio, nosotros vimos, vosotros visteis, ellos vieron. Ver, to see. No accents on this verb either. Another similar verb would be the verb ir. The verb ir conjugates as yo fui, tú fuiste, usted, ella fue, nosotros fuimos, vosotros fuisteis, ellos and ustedes fueron. And the cool thing about the verb ir is that this is the same conjugations as the verb ser in the preterite. Also conjugates with fui, fuiste, fue, etc. Now our last group of irregular preterites are a different ending chart. And so for this group of verbs, the ending chart is e, iste, o, imos, istes, and ieron. And we use these endings with stem changes. And the stem changes are as follows. Is, or is, quis, vin, pus, pud, sup, tuv, anduve, and estuve. So I gotta kind of do like a little math problem here. If I wanted to do the subject yo with the verb hacer, my conjugation would be hice. Hizo with the Z is just for the L form. So if I wanted to conjugate hacer in the L form, it would be hizo. If I wanted to conjugate venir in the nosotros form, I take my stem, vin, and then add my ending, imos, venimos, and so on. Let's quickly go over the definitions of these verbs just in case you don't remember. We have to do or to make, to want, to come, to put or to place, to be able to, in the past would be could, to know, to have, to walk or to travel, and to be. Now, this last group, we'll still use the same endings chart for these guys down here, but these guys are a little extra special. When we get to the ellos form on this group, our ending is going to be eron for ellos, ellas, and ustedes. And here are the stems. For decir, di, traer, tra, conducir, con, du. So these are like the J group. And then leer, ley, construir, construye, and destruir, destruye. So these top three, if I'm conjugating the ellos form of them, my ending is just eron. Dijeron, ellos traer, trajeron. The other forms are normal, so like yo decir would be dije, and so on. And then these bottom guys, the Y only happens for the bottom two. So we have leyó and leyeron, construyó, construyeron, and then destruyó, destruyeron. Kind of a special little Y group. All right, so those are some regular and irregular preterite verbs. And remember, preterite is what we use for the past tense. The closest thing we have in English is like when we add an ed, when we say like walked, or oh, there's a lot of regulars in English. I almost said drived, but it wouldn't be drive. It'd be drove. So sounds like there's a lot of irregular past tense in English as well. That's the preterite. Hasta luego, chicos.